I spent my weekend at home playing video games, and I never imagined it would lead to a formal complaint filed by a coalition of my students' parents. Shouldn't you be setting a better example for our children? He'd rather play games than tutor students who are falling behind. It's completely irresponsible. There's no sense of dedication. He doesn't deserve to be a teacher. He's a disgrace to the profession, a complete failure who's letting our kids down. My chest tightened with rage. For the 10 years I've been a teacher, I've poured my heart and soul into my work. My life has been a cycle of teaching and lesson planning. I've bent over backward, tried every method in the book, all for the single purpose of teaching my students well. And just because I played a video game on a Saturday, I'm being told I'm unfit to be a teacher. After they forced me to resign, that same group of parents came back, practically on their knees, begging me to return. I just waved them away. You'd be better off finding someone else. 1. I was at home on a Saturday, unwinding with some video games. Because of this, over 20 parents jointly filed a complaint against me, accusing me of being grossly irresponsible and lacking any spirit of dedication. They demanded the school fire me and find a replacement. When the principal finished explaining the situation, I was dumbfounded. I just sat there, my mind reeling. Since the day I started this job, I've been driven by a love for my students and a passion for education. I read every journal I could get my hands on. The science teacher, the physics teacher, desperate to find new ways to make the material click. When my students found physics boring and would nod off in class, I designed fun, engaging experiments to capture their attention. Slowly but surely, my classroom came alive and their physics grades started climbing. And now, because I played video games on my own time, on a weekend, these parents were calling me irresponsible and undedicated. The parents are furious, the principal said. They're threatening to go to the school board, call the mayor's hotline, you name it, if they don't get what they want. I was so angry I couldn't even speak. The principal adopted a placating tone, but his words were just a weak attempt to smooth things over. David, calm down, he said. I get it. You're a young guy. The weekend is your personal time. How you spend it is your business. But, he continued, the parents have a point. Teachers need to show dedication. Playing video games on the weekend. You really should reflect on the message that sends. Excuse me? I can't play a game during my private time, and I need to reflect on it? I was about to argue back, but he glanced at his watch and held up a hand to stop me. Let's leave it at this for now. You need to communicate with the parents and smooth this over. I have a meeting with the district superintendent. He paused at the door. And remember, as a teacher, you have to endure some unfairness. That's part of the job. Appease the parents. Don't let this escalate. Walking out his office, I felt a fire burning in my chest. I chugged a bottle of water, forcing myself to calm down. I opened the parent-teacher group chat, hoping to clear up the misunderstanding. At everyone, hi everyone, I typed. I love this job. Since I began teaching, my students have always come first. I've worked tirelessly to prepare my lessons and teach them effectively. I wouldn't say I'm a martyr for the cause, but I am dedicated. Educating your children is a partnership between parents and teachers. If any of you have concerns about my teaching, you can always come to me directly. Baseless accusations and misunderstandings only serve to demoralize the people who are here to help your kids. A few moments later, the replies started rolling in. Kyle Johnson's mom? Oh, please. There's no misunderstanding. This is all fact. My Kyle failed his last physics test. I asked you to tutor him this weekend, and you refused. Let me ask you something. When a student fails, does the teacher bear no responsibility? Isn't it because you failed to teach the material properly? I wasn't even blaming you for your poor teaching. I asked you to give Kyle 2 hours of your time on a Saturday. I even had a thank you gift ready for you. But you refused, making one excuse after another. You'd rather sit at home and play video games than help a struggling student. Where's your sense of responsibility? Do you even deserve to be a teacher? She then posted a screenshot from my public Steam profile, showing my recent gameplay activity. The barrage of questions left me speechless. The district has a clear policy against teachers tutoring their own students for pay to avoid conflicts of interest. I had already explained this to her. Besides, the weekend is my time of rest. I never in a million years thought I'd be attacked for something like this. 2. I composed myself and replied, trying to be patient. Mrs. Johnson, as I explained before, district policy prohibits me from privately tutoring my own students for compensation. There are no exceptions. This is to prevent any appearance of favoritism. I pour my heart into every single class, and every student receives the same instruction. If Kyle or any other student is having trouble, they're always welcome to see me during my free periods or after school. The weekend is my legally protected time off. Teachers are human, and we need to recharge too. I hope you can understand. Her response was infuriating. Kyle Johnson's mom. Time off. There's no such thing. Education is a service industry. You work for us, the customer. We're paying your salary with our tax dollars, which means you should be on call 24/7. At that point, other parents jumped in to support her. Leo Martinez's dad. Mrs. Johnson is right. The state pays you to build the next generation. We send our kids to you hoping you'll actually teach them. When a weekend comes, you all get to relax, but what about us? If we knew how to teach this stuff, why would we send them to school? If you don't have the dedication for it, you shouldn't be a teacher. Kevin Shin's dad. Exactly. While I was in high school, my teachers were responsible. If you had a problem, they'd come right to your house to help. Teachers these days just want to do the bare minimum. They mumble through a lecture, give zero feedback to parents about how the kids are doing, and the second the bell rings, they're gone. They're a disgrace to the profession. Aiden Davis's mom. Before the school year, I heard you were some kind of star teacher. I had to pull a lot of strings to get my son into your class. Turns out, your handwriting on the board is a mess, and you waste time letting the kids play with things like that plasma cannon. It's ridiculous. I couldn't help but defend myself. Parents, a child's education is a joint effort between the school, the family, and the community. I'm a teacher. I can do my best to teach them physics, but I cannot be on call 24 hours a day. I swear to you, I explain every concept clearly. I use every single second of our 45-minute class periods. And yes, I admit my handwriting isn't perfect, but it's neat and legible enough for every student to read. Showing them the plasma cannon I built was part of the lesson plan. It was to help them understand the basic principles of internal combustion in a tangible way. The weekend is my time to rest. Relaxing allows me to come back on Monday and be a more effective teacher. Kyle Johnson's mom? Oh, save it. You talk a good game. We all know you're just in it for the money. You were the one who kept insisting students buy that extra workbook, threatening them that they wouldn't pass physics if they didn't. I knew something was fishy back then, but didn't want to make waves. I wonder how much a kickback you get for each book sold. A surge of pure rage shot through me. I clenched my fists. Physics is an abstract subject. This semester we were covering electricity, and students were complaining that they were bored, that the concepts were confusing, that the endless formulas made their heads spin. To get them interested, I spent hours researching ways to connect the textbook material to everyday phenomena. I started every class with a fun little experiment to grab their attention. And to encourage them to be more hands-on, I recommended an optional experiment workbook to them and the parents. I made it perfectly clear. I wasn't specifying where to buy it. It was completely voluntary, and I even uploaded a free PDF version to the class resource page. You could find the book on Amazon for a transparent, low price. And now she was accusing me of taking kickbacks? Did she really think I had that kind of power? 3. In the group chat, the parents' complaints kept coming. When a teacher suggests something is voluntary, what choice do we have? We bought the book to get on your good side. The least you could do is not waste class time. Starting class with an experiment sounds more like you're showing off to get the kids to like you. We're just normal, middle-class families. We can't afford this let's make learning fun nonsense. We need results. I'm starting to wonder if you're some kind of spy sent to undermine our kids' education. Do you care more about your mission or our children? Look in the mirror and ask yourself, seriously, my son comes home and doesn't do his homework. Instead, he's sticking straws into potatoes, smiling at them like an idiot, talking about building a plasma cannon. You have no conscience. Just get out. I stared at the screen, breathing heavily. If I wanted to make money, I could be a millionaire by now. Every year, several students from my classes get perfect scores on the state proficiency exams. My class's average physics score has consistently been the highest in the school, and a few times the highest in the entire county, an incredible feat for our public high school. A few years ago, a private tutoring company offered me a six-figure salary to be their head of physics curriculum development. I turned it down without a second thought. Why? Because I actually believe in the dream of education, of leveling the playing field for students and easing the burden on families. Ms. Jenkins, the homeroom teacher for my class, couldn't stand it anymore and jumped in to defend me. Everyone, please calm down. Mr. Evans is an adult with his own life and family. He needs personal time. It's not just him. I can't be on call 24/7 either. We all want the same thing. What's best for the kids? Teachers are human beings. We spend every day with your children. Why would we ever want to harm them? And let me just point out one fact. On the last monthly exam, this class had the highest average physics score in the entire grade. The facts Ms. Jenkins presented silenced the chat for a moment, but it didn't last long. Kyle Johnson's mom, highest average score? So what? That's because the smart kids pulled the average up. How do you explain my Kyle failing? Give me an answer for that. A new wave of agreement followed. She's right. If a student does well, it's because they're smart and have good study habits. It has little to do with the teacher. The real test of a teacher is if you can help the students who are struggling. When you ask him for study tips, he just gives you the same old lines. Pay attention in class. Do your homework. Parents should supervise. He never teaches you anything real. If parents are supposed to supervise and check everything, what do we need teachers for? What a joke of a star teacher. Just a fraud. The anger was so intense it felt like a physical pain in my chest. I fumbled for a Tums, but even that couldn't calm the burning. 4. I wish I could just download all the knowledge in my head directly into my students' brains, but everyone learns at a different pace. How could their final grades possibly all be the same? To use a crude analogy, a teacher in a classroom makes it rain knowledge. Some students are there to catch it with a bucket, some with a cup. Some just stand there and let it hit them, and some even put up an umbrella. Over my years of teaching, I've constantly refined my methods, developing a system that I know works. Students aren't interested in physics. I design hands-on experiments based on everyday life, making abstract concepts tangible and guiding them to use physics to explain the world around them, building their intrinsic motivation. Students are inefficient at studying. I've personally worked through every review book on the market, identifying patterns and common pitfalls. I break down complex models into bite-sized pieces for my students, so that by mastering one problem, they can understand an entire category of them. And now these parents were telling me their kid's success had nothing to do with me, that I was a fraud. They had it completely backward. I couldn't take it anymore. I typed back, if you really believe a student's success has nothing to do with their teacher, then why bother sending them to school at all? And what does me playing a video game on a Saturday have to do with anything? The two are completely unrelated. My response was like poking a hornet's nest. The parents went ballistic. What kind of tone is that? Do you understand what public education is? You're just a teacher. Your entire annual salary is less than the interest I make on my savings in a month. I'm doing you a favor by letting you teach my child, and you dare talk back to me? Ms. Jenkins, seeing things spiral, sent me a private message. These people are like a pack of rabid dogs, just looking for someone to bite. David, I've seen all the hard work you put in. Please don't take it to heart. It's not worth destroying your health over people like this. The insults in the group chat continued. My professional training kicked in, forcing me to calm down. I took a deep breath and finally replied in a neutral tone. Parents, school is a place for learning. Venting your anger here won't solve anything. We need to focus our energy on the students, not on this conflict. The state proficiency exams are just a few months away. I promise you, I will do everything in my power to teach every single one of your children to the best of my ability and help them improve their physics scores. Mrs. Johnson's reply was a knife straight to the heart. Are you threatening us with our children's futures? You have no professional ethics. You'll definitely hold a grudge. Since you can't get back at us, you'll take it out on my Kyle. I, for one, don't feel safe with you teaching my son anymore. Her words were a direct assault on my character. Fina, it's not like teaching is the only job in the world. 5, even though the parents had reported me, the kids were innocent. Before I officially resigned, I wanted to finish the last part of my previous lecture, say a proper goodbye to my students, and offer them some final words of advice. I've always treated every student the same, regardless of their grades or their family's wealth. Every year, during winter and summer breaks, former students from all over the country make a point to come back and visit me. When I walk down the street, students I barely remember still greet me with a cheerful, "Hi, Mr. Evans." That feeling of having made a positive impact on so many lives has always been my greatest source of pride. It made all the sacrifices feel worthwhile. The next day, as I approached my classroom, I could hear the students talking inside. "Did you hear? Mr. Evans is quitting." "Really? Awesome. I can't stand him. His lectures are so slow. The kids in the other classes are already chapters ahead of us." "Good. It'll be nice to have a new teacher for a change, huh?" Their words hit me like a bucket of ice water. I forced myself to walk in and mechanically finish the last bit of the lesson. Just as I was about to give them my parting advice, Kyle Johnson suddenly stood up and challenged me loudly. "Mr. Evans, my mom wants me to ask you, exactly how much of a kickback did you get?" "What?" I was momentarily confused. "From that fun with high school physics experiments workbook you recommended. The more of us who bought it, the more money you made, right?" Kyle's question set off a wave of murmurs across the room. It completely extinguished any desire I had to say another word. I looked at them, my voice filled with anguish. "Is that really the kind of person you think I am? Do you honestly believe I recommended that book to help you, or to line my own pockets?" The room fell silent. I looked around. The students were either staring down at their desks, pretending not to be involved, or glaring at me with expressions of disdain and contempt. I felt like I had fallen into an icy abyss. A bitter taste filled my mouth. When I first showed them the plasma cannon, their faces were lit with excitement. The sound of their cheers and gasps nearly blew the roof off the classroom. Now, as I was being falsely accused, not a single one of them would speak up for me. After 10 years of teaching, for the very first time, I felt my heart break. For the first time, I felt that there were students who were simply not worth the effort. I let out a long, deep sigh and walked out of the classroom without looking back. Behind me, I heard a new wave of cheerful chatter break out. "Did you see the look on his face? He totally just ran away. So he really was taking kickbacks. Goose. I wonder if he'll end up homeless now that he won't have a job." That night, I couldn't sleep a wink. The school quickly put me on administrative leave and assigned a replacement physics teacher. The new teacher was a man in his 50s, Mr. Peterson, who assured the parents he did not play video games on the weekend. The parents acted like triumphant generals, celebrating their victory and dismissing me completely. Mrs. Johnson boasted, "I know Mr. Peterson. He's a veteran teacher with over 30 years of experience. No bad habits. He's taught countless state champions. I specifically asked him to pay extra attention to the students who are struggling. An older teacher is better, patient, and more importantly, experienced. He's seen it all. He'll be much better than that arrogant young guy." He said it high. Listening to their talk, I felt nothing. There was no point in getting angry over people like this. After a brief handover with Mr. Peterson, the first thing I did was leave the group chat. I never wanted to interact with that toxic group of parents again. Then, I submitted my official resignation to the school. The principal looked at me sternly. "Mr. Evans, don't you think you're overreacting? You're going to quit just because some parents falsely accused you of taking kickbacks? Or are you trying to threaten the school with your resignation? Can't you be more mature? What teacher hasn't been misunderstood by parents? To be blunt, even if a parent is screaming in your face, you smile and take it. That's the job. Take it? Not a chance. I wasn't hired to be a doormat. With a leader this spineless, there was nothing more to say. I firmly completed my resignation paperwork and walked away. 6 after resigning, I took a whole month off to decompress. No more frantic calls from parents. No more writing detailed progress reports. No more agonizing over every student's test analysis. I felt refreshed, reborn. One day, Mrs. Johnson called me. I immediately declined it. I wasn't her son's teacher anymore. I couldn't imagine what she would want. She called several more times. Finally, annoyed, I picked up. "I'll have you know," she gloated, "my Kyle got a 76 on his latest physics test. That's almost a 20-point improvement from last time. You were a terrible influence. Resigning was the smartest decision you've ever made." Huh. I felt nothing. I hung up, blocked her number, and moved on. A student's grades can fluctuate. I hoped, for his sake, that he could keep it up. Word got out that I had resigned, and several private schools reached out with job offers. "Mr. Evans, we heard what happened," one principal told me. They were fools to let you go. Come to our school. Name your terms. They promised to fully respect my teaching methods and to stand firmly behind their teachers, no matter what, ensuring that outside pressures would never interfere with my work. But I was honestly traumatized by my experience with those parents. After much consideration, I turned them all down. Ultimately, I decided to become a science popularizer online. I could continue pursuing my dream of education, sharing my knowledge with a wider audience of kids, without ever having to deal with another difficult parent. And for popularizing physics, nothing is more effective than experiments. I converted my garage into a physics lab for live streaming and recording videos. Soon, I hosted my first live stream, focusing on the basic principles of the internal combustion engine and demonstrating the plasma cannon I had built based on those principles. To my surprise, the first people to join the stream were that same group of toxic parents. Well, look how far the mighty have fallen, reduced to begging for money online. This guy used to be a teacher at Northwood High. He was fired for unethical behavior. Everyone boycott him. People like him should be shut down the second they pop up. Their insults, ironically, only piqued the curiosity of other viewers. More and more people started flooding into the stream. I ignored the live chat and immersed myself in my explanation and demonstration. All right, everyone, I said to the camera, holding up the plasma cannon I had made from 2 water cooler jugs and some flexible tubing. The plasma cannon is complete. Let's see what it can do. 3, 2, 1, fire. A pale blue flame shot through the tube. With a deafening boom, a row of soda cans on a nearby table was blasted to the ground. The chat went wild. No one was paying attention to the angry parents anymore. Whoa, what did I just see? Physics is so cool. This is getting dangerously awesome. The FBI is going to be at your door. JK. Holy crap. He's finally showing us how he built the arc reactor. The number of concurrent viewers shot past 10,000. Riding the wave of excitement, I edited a recording of the stream and posted it to YouTube, where it attracted a huge number of views. In the comments section, someone brought up my being fired, and another user who knew the story jumped in to defend me. Mr. Evans was one of the best physics teachers at our school. He was famous for his cool experiments, and his classes always had the highest average scores. He was forced to resign after a group of parents reported him for playing video games on a weekend. That same group of parents is now trying to sabotage his stream. They're insane. That comment blew the minds of the other viewers. Wait, what? Parents like that actually exist? Where I'm from, we're super respectful to teachers, terrified they'll hold a grudge against our kids. After watching Mr. Evans' stream, I can guarantee he is a dedicated, responsible teacher. Dude, I would have wanted to play online with a teacher like that. Well, that settles it. Subscribed. He's a treasure. Their loss is our gain. Reading the encouraging comments from strangers, the last remnants of bitterness in my heart vanished. I started planning my next science stream. Meanwhile, back at Northwood High, things weren't going so smoothly for my former students. When Ms. Jenkins told me about it, there was a note of genuine fear in her voice. Mr. Peterson, the 30-year veteran, was old school and didn't tolerate any nonsense. When Kyle Johnson fell asleep in his class, Mr. Peterson woke him up and tapped his palm a few times with a ruler. It was nothing, Ms. Jenkins explained. Just a few light taps. The marks were gone by the end of class. But Kyle's mom went ballistic. She actually called the police. Poor Mr. Peterson, a man in his late 50s, was called into a police station for the first time in his life. First, she demanded he go to their house and bow an apology, Ms. Jenkins said. Then she insisted he apologize to Kyle in front of the entire class. After that, she started demanding monetary compensation for emotional distress. Mrs. Johnson's reasoning was relentless. Who gave you the right to hit my child? Did I authorize that? My Kyle is now showing signs of school-related anxiety. This isn't over. If my son doesn't get into a good high school, I'm coming after you. I thought being reported for playing video games was insane, but I never imagined Mrs. Johnson would take it this far. How did the school handle it? I asked. This was a major issue of professional dignity. What teacher would tolerate a student sleeping through class? Surely the school would back him up, right? Ms. Jenkins's voice was laced with resentment. How do you think they handled it? The same old story. They can't control the parents, so they control the teachers. The principal ordered Mr. Peterson to apologize as the parent demanded. He told him to learn his lesson and be mindful of his methods. That corporal punishment was forbidden. How are we supposed to maintain any classroom discipline with that kind of attitude? I scoffed. What is that principal even thinking? He's literally forcing teachers to get on their knees to teach. Exactly. So next time a kid falls asleep, I'm not supposed to say anything? Should I get him a blanket instead? As teachers, if we don't even have the basic right to discipline students, how can we manage a classroom? How can we teach? Ms. Jenkins's voice grew somber. Honestly, David, at first I thought you overreacted by resigning. But I never realized how completely unreasonable these parents could be, or how little the school would support us. The longer I'm in this job, the more my heart breaks. I'm thinking about quitting too. In the end, the principal insisted on docking Mr. Peterson's pay by $3,000 to compensate the Johnsons. The stress caused Mr. Peterson's blood pressure to skyrocket. He immediately filed for early retirement and went home to recover. After driving out 2 physics teachers in a row, the class became infamous throughout the school. No other physics teacher wanted anything to do with them. With no one to teach physics, the parents started raising hell again. Finally, the administration assigned a brand new teacher, a recent graduate named Ms. Garcia, to the class. It never occurred to them that teaching is a two-way street. A teacher has to adapt to the students, but the students also have to adapt to the teacher. In just over a month, they had gone through 3 different teachers. The constant changes in pacing and style meant the students had no chance to get into a rhythm. It would have been a miracle if they learned anything. But that was no longer my problem. Ate free from the tedious demands of teaching and the stress of dealing with impossible parents, I felt reborn, happily immersed in my world of physics experiments. My plasma cannon video went viral, racking up millions of views. My DMs were flooded with messages from viewers, begging me to release the next video soon. I got right to work, preparing a live stream on Tesla coils. During the stream, I donned a cape and held a staff-like wand. With a dramatic flair, I recited a line from video game. With lightning, I shall shatter the darkness. As I brought the wand near a light bulb, a brilliant arc of electricity leaped between them, and the bulb flared to life with a dazzling glow. Electricity is one of the toughest subjects in high school physics. The concept is so abstract that it intimidates many students. And here I was, making electricity visible. The live chat erupted. There were comments from high schoolers. Wow, Mr. Evans is a wizard. I think I actually get it now. My physics teacher just says, okay, class, use your imagination. If my teacher taught like this, I'd never fall asleep. There were also comments from older viewers. I didn't teach it like this when I was in school, and I'm kind of mad about it. You can see it in his eyes. That's not just a love for teaching. That's the pure joy of a creator showing off his work. Now, I finally understand what my parents meant when they said, we never had these kinds of opportunities when we were young. The stream was a massive success. Praise poured in my DMs, but one message in particular moved me. Mr. Evans, I followed your instructions and tried it myself. The moment I felt the spark from the coil, I felt a subtle shift in my life. If I can touch lightning, what else can I achieve in the future? I never imagined my videos could have such a profound impact on a student. Suddenly, all my effort felt incredibly meaningful. Keep going, I replied. May you sprint down the path of your dreams. But back at Northwood High, my old class was in trouble again. After Mr. Peterson was forced out, the other teachers in the school became terrified of that class. They would teach their lesson and leave the second the bell rang, not wanting to spend an extra second there. They were too scared to discipline students for sleeping or talking, too afraid to criticize them for not turning in homework, lest they be the next ones forced to apologize and pay compensation. Even so, the parents found a way to harass the new teacher, Ms. Garcia. Ms. Jenkins, the homeroom teacher, sounded numb when she called to vent, as if she had reached a state of calm insanity. They were now complaining that Ms. Garcia had acne, which they claimed was so distracting that their children couldn't look at the teacher or the blackboard, making it impossible for them to learn. As a teacher, you need to be considerate of your students' most subtle psychological needs, one parent told her. How can a student concentrate with all those pimples on your face? You should get your skin treated before you come back to teach. Ms. Garcia was so devastated that she burst into tears and submitted her resignation that same day. Now, the class had no physics teacher at all. Somehow, the parents' thoughts turned back to me. Worst case, we can just ask Mr. Evans to come back, one of them suggested. So he plays video games. Who cares? At least when he was here, the kids paid attention in class. Mrs. Johnson, using a different phone number, managed to get through to me. The moment I answered, she started in without any preamble. Well, Mr. Evans, I can't believe you blocked me. Anyway, we discussed it. You have your little flaws, but we've decided to give you another chance. You can come back and teach now. I recognized her voice instantly and couldn't help but laugh. I've already resigned. Besides, you all said I was irresponsible, unfit to be a teacher, and a bad influence on students. You're better off finding someone else. Her voice turned arrogant. Are you really going to be like that? Don't be ungrateful. You're just a beggar on the internet now. Is that really more stable than a teaching job? We're offering you an opportunity here. You should take it. That line set me off. I, David Evans, would rather starve to death on the street than go back to that classroom. The voice on the other end became laced with anger and panic. Is this really necessary? Why are you being so petty? You're a teacher. You're supposed to be magnanimous. So we reported you once. Big deal. Come back and teach, and we'll even give you a big cash bonus. As if I would ever take their money. If I did, they'd probably just report me for it later. I could faintly hear the other parents talking in the background. Mr. Evans is still so immature. We're giving him an easy way out, and he won't take it. What kind of future is there in live streaming? It's obviously because he's making more money now. It's all about the money for him. No professional ethics at all. This group of parents still didn't think they had done anything wrong. They were only coming to me because no other teacher would take the job. A cold sneer escaped my lips. I teach people, I said, not animals. Not in the end. The principal came up with a brilliant solution. All the physics teachers in the grade would take turns teaching the class. The result was absolute chaos. Each teacher had a different style and pace. One day the lesson was fast, the next slow. One day deep, the next shallow. The students learned one thing only to forget the last. By the time the final exam before the state proficiency tests rolled around, they were completely lost. The class's average physics score plummeted to dead last in the grade. If they couldn't improve, 80% of the students would not qualify. That's when the parents finally started to panic. They showed up at my house, children in tow. Mr. Evans, please, we're begging you, come back. Mr. Evans, we were wrong. We apologize. We never should have reported you. It was our mistake. You didn't take any kickbacks. That was all just stuff Kyle's mom made up. We were fools to go along with it. Mr. Evans, whatever mistakes we made, they were our mistakes. The children are innocent. The parents bowed low. Some even looked like they were about to drop to their knees. The children standing beside them mumbled their own apologies. We were wrong, Mr. Evans. Please come back. Their voices were meek, their eyes glistening with tears. You would never have guessed these were the same people who had viciously attacked me just a few months before. I replied coldly, I thought I just played with the kids, had terrible handwriting, and didn't give enough homework. What makes you think I'm a good teacher now? The parents rushed to explain. No. We were ignorant back then. We didn't understand you were trying to get the kids engaged. After watching your streams, we see how much time and effort goes into preparing just one experiment. We were wrong. There's nothing wrong with your handwriting. And we know now that every homework problem you assigned was carefully selected to help them learn efficiently, to save them from pointless busy work. We were blind. We are so sorry. Please don't. I frowned, holding up a hand to stop them. Let's not forget I'm the guy who takes kickbacks. You wouldn't want a bad apple like me back in the school, would you? The parents looked like they were about to cry. Mr. Evans, we looked into it. That was a lie Kyle's mom made up. It's an item on Amazon. How could you possibly get a kickback from that? So, they weren't stupid after all. They could tell the difference between right and wrong. But where was this clarity before? I accept your apology, I said calmly. But I do not forgive you. Now please, don't interrupt my video game time. I closed the door, leaving the crowd of parents and students staring at each other in stunned silence. A moment later, their shock turned to rage, and they started shouting insults through the door. A leopard can't change its spots. They were, at their core, a pack of ungrateful wolves. After a few minutes of yelling at me, they started yelling at each other. "This is all your fault, Mrs. Johnson. If you hadn't started this whole thing, we never would have driven Mr. Evans away. If you were still here, my kid's physics grade wouldn't be in the toilet. So what if you wanted to play video games? It was the weekend, not during class. Did you really have to make such a big deal out of it?" Mrs. Johnson collapsed onto my porch, slapping the ground and wailing. "You ungrateful hypocrites. When I said I was going to report him, didn't you all agree? Who was it that was complaining to me that he didn't reply to messages fast enough? Who was it that said reporting him would show him who's boss and stop him from picking on our kids? When I did it, you all called me brave and righteous. Now that there's a problem, it's all my fault. It is your fault. You're the one who said Mr. Evans had no ethics, that he just played games with the students, had bad handwriting, and didn't give enough homework. You're the one who slandered him about kickbacks and then bullied 2 other teachers into quitting. We were all tricked by you." The argument escalated until they were physically shoving each other. I called the police to have them removed from my property. Fearing they would come back, I decided it was time to move. 10. The state proficiency exam results came out. Most of the kids in that class didn't score high enough to get into a traditional high school. The furious parents stormed the principal's office. When Ms. Jenkins told me about it, her voice was practically buzzing with excitement. Led by Mrs. Johnson, the group of parents surrounded the principal, demanding an explanation. "Is this the quality of education at Northwood High? Not a single one of our kids passed physics. Out of a class of 40, 35 of them won't be going to a real high school. You're a disgrace to your profession, and you owe us an explanation today." Other parents chimed in. "Exactly. We sent our kids here because of this school's reputation, and now they're all headed to vocational school. If you don't give us a straight answer, we're going straight to the school board." The principal's face was beet red. He wiped sweat from his forehead and tried to defend himself. "Parents, I understand your frustration, but our best physics teacher was Mr. Evans, and you drove him away. Then there was Mr. Peterson and Ms. Garcia." "Bullshit," Mrs. Johnson shouted, stepping forward. "Do you think we're stupid? It's incredibly difficult to resign from a public school job. They couldn't have quit that fast unless you signed off on it. No matter how you slice it, aren't you at least partially responsible for this?" The parents closed in on him, refusing to back down. Cornered, the principal snapped. "They didn't get into high school because your kids aren't smart enough. What does that have to do with the school?" That single sentence lit the fuse. Someone in the crowd lunged forward and slapped the principal's glasses off his face. The mob descended on him, forcing him to scramble under his desk for cover. In the end, the police had to be called to rescue the terrified man. Given that the kids had, in fact, failed to get into high school and that the principal's comment was wildly inappropriate, plus he only had minor scratches, the parents were let go after stern warning. But they weren't finished. In a final act of fury, they filed formal complaints against the principal and every teacher involved. The principal's bureaucratic, conflict-avoidant style had long been a source of frustration for the school's staff and students. When the investigators from the superintendent's office came, teachers and students held nothing back. They told them everything, including how the principal used the school's car for personal errands. He was summarily dismissed from his position. Ms. Jenkins sounded cheerful as she recounted the final details. "The investigators found that we teachers had all been acting responsibly, so nothing came of the complaints against us. We're just hoping the next batch of parents isn't quite so crazy." But was this really just about a few crazy parents? Why could they act with such impunity? Because they knew that no matter how unreasonable they were, the school couldn't do anything to them. It certainly couldn't expel their children. From the very beginning, the power dynamic between parent and teacher was completely unbalanced. A teacher who is forced to kneel cannot teach a student to stand up straight. All we can hope for is that schools will do more to support their dedicated teachers, and that parents will offer a little more tolerance and understanding, allowing teachers to do their jobs without fear.